All right, welcome back to part 3 of the 2016 AP exam. And now this question, for question 3, it was non-calculator. We can tell it's non-calculator because when it says non-calculator right up here. And let's take a look here. So they're giving us this figure above. And it's a piecewise function for f on the domain -4 to 12. And they say g is defined by this integral. That should look very familiar to us. This is obviously our second FTC problem. So that's what we're going to be using. And question A says, does G have a relative minimum or relative maximum at 10? And that's our first derivative test, or we like to say sign charts. Please make sure you show them. So looking at the integral from g of x, well, because we're looking for relative maximum minimum, we need the derivative of g. So g prime of x we know is equal to f of x. So we are looking at the value at x equals 10. So when we set up our sign chart, there's 10, g prime and g. At 10, notice the value, g is below and below here, right? This is my f. We're looking at if f. I'm below before and I'm below afterwards, so we have negatives and negative. So there is neither a maximum or minimum because the sign doesn't change. So we would say g of 10 is neither, well, can't spell neither today, is neither, and that is because g prime of x does not change signs. And that would be our answer. Now in the AP, this really isn't worth too many points. It's only worth a whopping 1 point for us. But not a hard one, but definitely show your work on these. Okay, don't be afraid to show your work. Part B says, does G have a point of inflection? Well, that's our second derivative. So we know that G double prime of x is equal to f prime of x. So we are looking at the slopes of the function of f at, in this case, x equals 4. So if I go back to x equals 4, there it is. Oh, look, my slope is positive here, negative afterwards. So if I do my sign chart, whoops, at x equals 4, g double prime and g, positive before, negative afterwards, the slope, right? Remember, this is a slope. This is the slope of f. So this is going to be concave up, concave down. Look at that frown. And of course, yeah, look, the signs change, so we do have a point of inflection. So we would say g of 4 is a POY, and that is because g double prime of x changes signs. And again, not worth too many points, but everybody should be able to get that. That's 2 points right there. That's like a freebie. Better get that one. You better get this one. Otherwise, angry worn out. Okay, get those right. All right, question C. Oh no. This should look familiar to us. Find the absolute minimum and the absolute maximum on this domain. This is our candidates test. Now we need some space on this one, so I'm going to extend this page a little bit. That's our candidates test. So for this one, we need our critical numbers. So to get the critical numbers, that is where g prime of x, which we know is f of x, equals 0. So if we go back to the graph, what will be equal to 0? -2, 2, 6, and 10. So those are our critical numbers. X equals -2, 2, whoops, why am I erasing? 2, 6, and 10. Now, we also need our endpoints. And we got those from up top here. -4 and 12. Setting up your sign, setting up your chart. Well, you can just test x, g of x, -4, 12, -2, 2, 6, and 10. Now we know from part A, 10 is neither maximum or minimum, so we don't even need that one. But let's look at the graph again. Also, at x equals 2. Notice there's no sign change in the value, so it goes from positive to positive. So at x equals +2, It's also neither. So we're not going to use those values right here. Now, all we have to do now is use our fundamental theorem. So to get g of 4, my rule says, from the beginning, we look at the area right here. So that's going to be the area from -2 to 4, f of t dt. And going back, looking at the area, this area down over here is 2 wide, 4 down, so this is going to have an area of -4. From -2 to 2, that's a 4 by 4, but it's a triangle, so that has an area of +8. Same thing here, 8. This area would be -8, and this area would be -4. Remember, these are negative because they're below the x-axis. So using that here, if I want to find the area between -2 and 4, be careful of direction, right? It's going to be the opposite because we're going from -2 to +4, so we're changing our direction. And if we do this one from 2 to -4, we're going to take this -4 plus this 8. So that'll be this -4 plus that 8, and if you simplify that, we get -4. Same likewise to get the area at -2 from -2 to 4. Sorry, that was from +2. Sorry, the integral from +2 to -2. That's weird to me. So sorry about that. Of f of t dt. Sorry, the integral was from +2 because somebody really kept putting a negative there. But the answers are correct. The answers are correct. I mean, I'm looking at what the AP says. So the answers are good. Yay me. All right. So go from +2 to -2. Same idea. From +2 to -2, again, the area here is 8. But because of our direction, it's the opposite. So it's -8. For 6, we want the area from 2 to 6. F of t dt. Remember, that's that direction negative here. But from 2 to 6, we're in right order, and that's, we know that area is just 8 here. And then you get the area from 12. From 2 to 12, f of t, keeps going to the eraser for some reason, f of t dt equals, let me send the page, maybe that might help a little bit. So you get that area from 2 to 12. Remember, this is 8, this is -8. Now we're already at 8. These two cancel each other out. That puts us at 0. So the value at 10 is g of 10 is actually 0 right there. Because remember, at 2 it's 0. I know that because g of 2 is the area from 2 to 2, which is going to be 0. So I know that that's going to be 0 as well. So I'm not worried about adding all these. I only have to worry about the area from 10 to 12, which is -4. So that's just -4. And now we can answer our question to get the absolute max. The absolute max value occurs at 6. So g of 6 is 8, and the absolute minimum is at g of -2, which is -8. Now this is worth a whopping 4 points. These questions are always worth a lot of points if you find one, so be happy with these, okay? 2 points if you just set up all of this stuff, and 2 points for your answer. Basically how it goes. All right, so for question D, not too bad to do. It's a little tricky one, but we already answered most of it. It said, are there any values from -4 to 12 where g of x is less than 0? Now we're talking about g of x, not g prime or f. So how do we get g of x? Well, remember, g of x is that area from 2 to x, f of t dt. So we want to find out, if I want to find out where this is less than or equal to 0, I just really want to find out where that's equal to 0 first. That's going to give me my critical numbers for g of x. Well, not quite the critical numbers, but I hope you all understand what I mean. It's where the zeros are. I guess I should call it the zeros for g of x. So where does that occur? Well, we know if x is 2, it's going to be 0. And there's another one. And we've already done it. Let's take a look. At x equals 10, we know it's 0. Because remember, if g of 2 is 0, and the area from 2 to 6, and the area from 6 to 10 cancel each other out, therefore g of 10 also has to be 0. So I know that at x equals 10, we have another critical number. So if I do my sign chart from -4 to 12, 2 and 10, g of x, we just have to look at their signs for it. Well, remember, if at x is 0, if my value here is 0 and my value here is 0, let's take a look at the signs. Well, if I go anywhere to the left, what is this telling me? If we go anywhere to the left, the area is going to be negative because we're changing our direction. From 10 to 12, well, let's take a look at an answer, our Canvas test from year earlier. The value at 12 was -4. Well, if at 10 I'm starting at 0 and the value here is -4, all of those values have to be negative. So I got my two regions. And from 10 to 12, well, they change sign. There's nothing that tells me that they don't change signs, so that's going to be positive. So we can say that g of x is less than or equal to 0 on the following domains. Hard brackets, don't want to use soft brackets, but we are including 0. We are including 0 here. So it's going to be from -4 to 2 or 10 to 12. All right. Well, so there's our answer. And this is worth a whopping 2 points. It's the whole answer right there. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. Come back. We'll talk about these in class or on video. Just feel free to text me or remind me if you have any questions over them, okay? And I will see you guys later, okay?